Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Today I am going to be sharing with you how I colored this cute little otter from Heffy Doodle. And if you hop over on the Heffy Doodle blog, you can see a step-by-step on how I created my card and the background. So I have stamped my image in Memento Desert Sand so I can get that no line coloring effect. And I've stamped it onto my Copic Express It blending card, which is my favorite paper to color on with my Copic markers. It just blends the ink like butter. So let's go ahead and get started with coloring our little otters using the no line technique. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and use E30, E31, E33, E37, and E39. We're gonna go ahead and make the otter on the right a little bit lighter than the otter on the left, so it can kind of look like it's a boy and a girl. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our E33. We'll go ahead and color the light one first. And actually we're also gonna be using R32 and R30, so we can add a little rosy cheeks to right on the side of their mouth. So we'll go ahead and add the R32 and R30 first, so that way we can add the brown on top of it and it will help blend it out so the pink cheeks don't look so harsh. So you're gonna start with your R32 and you're just gonna make two little dots on each side of the mouth, make them a little bigger. And then we'll go ahead and take the R30 and just come out a little bit more, making those little circles a little bit bigger. And then we're going to take the E33 and we're just going to trace right around the eyes. So the center part of the eyes here, we're going to have it look a little bit lighter, and then there's going to be a deeper shadow in between the eyes and the top part of the head. So I'm just going to trace going around, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then we'll go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow underneath the head and onto the arm. So we're going to come down, giving a little shadow on the shoulder and in the little crease of his arm right there. And we're going to add a shadow here because this arm is in front of this one, so it'd be casting a shadow. And then we're also going to add a little bit of a shadow on the inner parts of the legs. And then on the part of the tail that's curling. We'll give a little flick going down just so we can tell the difference on the part of the stomach and then the rest of the body. So then we're going to go ahead and take our E31. I'm going to come out a little bit more right around the top part. So with each new lighter color, you want to come out a little bit more, but we also want to outline a little bit more as well. So I'm just pulling the color out, coming out a little bit more, so I'm filling it in a little bit more with each new lighter color, and then also outlining it. Because that no line is right there, we want it to look soft. We just don't want to outline it with the darker color. So a little thicker on the inside part of the legs, but then outline a little bit more out. And then a little thicker here. But then I'm going to start outlining the opposite side. And then we'll take the E30 and we're going to do the exact same thing. This time, once we get a nice blend right along the edge of that E31, we'll go ahead and just fill in the rest of the otter. We're not doing the center of the face just yet because I want it to be a little bit lighter. So depending on how dark I go on the outer part will determine on how light I'll go on the center. So pull out the color, you want to go back into some of that E31 and drag out the color so we have a nice blend, and then just fill it all in. All right, so now we'll go ahead and I'm going to pull down some of that E31 that we added here and just give a flick so I can pull some of that color out so I get that nice transition. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the one swipe over. And then for the center part of the face, we're just going to fill it all in. So just one swipe. Now let's go back and just define those shadows just a little bit more. So back with our E33. We're going to go back and add the shadow underneath the head and then coming down the center of the stomach on each of the sides. And we're just deepening that shadow that we created the first time we laid down the E33. So then let's go ahead and add a little bit of the line coming down over here on that side of the hand. So now let's go ahead and take the E31, and again we want to drag out that color a little bit, so I'm just going to give little baby flicks to pull out some of the E33 so I could get a nice transition between the colors. And then again with the E30. I'm going to add another coat of the E30 just right in between the outline that we created here with the E33 and the center part of the face, just so I have a little bit more of a shadow by adding that extra layer of the E30. Then do the same thing, just drag out that color a little bit more. All right, and then for the nose, we're going to be using the E37. Oop, wrong nose. And then we're going to just go right underneath it. And then we're going to take the E33 and just go over it a couple of times, just making that little circular motion. So I'm making sure I'm pulling out some of that E37 so that way it blends nicely. So then we'll go ahead and color the other one. So for the other one, we want it to be a little bit darker, so we're actually going to start with the E37. So actually, no, we're not. We're going to do the cheeks first. We're going to give him little rosy cheeks as well. So R32, little dots. And then the R30. And then we're going to take the E37. We're going to trace right around the eye, so that way we have that difference between this part and this part. Give a little shadow underneath the ears, and then underneath the face, and then just a little flick going down, and on the inside part of the arms, along the bottom part of this arm, And then on the inside parts of the legs, the same as the other otter. And then on the inside part of this tail. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Okay, so then we're going to take the E33 and we're going to go back and forth a couple of times so we can really pull out that E37. So I'm barely grazing over the paper, but I'm still going back and forth because I want to drag out that color. I know it's such a small image to, you know, do any little flicks. And then we'll pull out right here. So everywhere where we've added the E37, so get a nice blend, and then we're going to continue kind of outlining. Okay, and we'll have to go back and add more shadows with the E37, but let's go ahead and finish filling it in. So we're not going to fill it in with the E30 like we did before, since this one's going to be a little bit darker. We're going to use the E31 for that. So, but we want to get a nice blend right along that E33 first. So again, with the back and forth right along the edge of the E33, and then you can go ahead and fill in the rest of the otter. And then we'll fill in that center part of the tummy, this hand over here, and then the face. We're just going to do one swipe over. And I forgot this little hand over here, so I'm just going to take my E31 and fill it in. Alright, so now let's go back with my E37. And we're going to define the shadows a little bit more. And a little bit up here. He already has a good amount on his face. Just want to go a little bit more around his ears and right in that corner. So now let's take that E33 and blend this out. So we have a good amount of color down, even with that E31. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out some of that E37 and then do a heavy flick just to fill in more of the otter, so that way not so much of him is going to be the E31, which is very similar to over here. So I want him to be a little bit darker. I am going to add a little bit more of a shadow on the inside part of his face, and we will go back over it with E31 in just a minute. We're going to fill this out a little bit more. And now let's take that E31 do that extra coat right up here. So we have a nice blend on that E31 or the E33. And then we're going to do the same thing here. So since we already have the E31 laid a layer here, we're just going to flick going in towards the center of the face. That way we're dragging out some of that E33, and it will help us blend that out so it's not just so flat. So then for the stomach, we're going to come right along the edge of the E33 and then fill it in, and then just add another layer kind of all over. So I am going to go back with my E33 and just draw out this line a little bit more. There we go. So he's got a little bit more detail to his stomach, so that way you can tell the difference between his stomach and then the rest of his body, since that line's there. So now let's go ahead and take that E39. We're going to trace the bottom of his nose. So his nose is a little bit darker than hers. And then we're going to take the E33 and fill it in. And now we're ready to take our micron pen or the Copic multiliner. And we're going to, and this I have to get right above so I could see. We're just going to trace the eyes and the mouth. And then those little whiskers. And then the same thing over here. His eyes are not closed, they're open, so they're little circles. And then his mouth and his whiskers. Super cute. All right, so they are ready to be die cut out, but since I've already have my card over here, we are all finished. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little something about Copic coloring or doing the no line technique. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and again, don't forget to head over to the Heffy Doodle blog so you can see how I put together my entire card. Have a great day and thanks again for watching. Bye!